Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, the first day of August 2018. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Mr. Zach. And on the panel this week, sans Nick Mumley. He's still down in Carolina or on his way back. So just myself and my good pal, the Duke.
Yuck.
And
So how was your New Hampshire? Just back from Hampton Beach?
I spent a few days at Hampton Beach, and I'm dying right now. It's so muggy out.
Yeah.
And just spending time on the ocean. And of course, you grew up like
Lucky me.
literally feet away from the ocean.
Yeah.
But it was nice and cool. And a dip in the ocean.
What was the water temp?
I don't know. The first day I went in there, my hands were numb.
Was that right?
The next couple of days, they warmed up where the water was just cold,
Yeah.
which I like it cold, refreshing.
Yeah.
It was just nice to get away from that mugginess. So I literally just got back here about 3 hours ago.
Wow.
And I know we're supposed to get thunderstorms later tonight, but geez, the air is so heavy right
and
now.
it sounds like muggy, humid weather for days. Yeah,
Yeah.
It sounds like that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah,
Yeah, not my favorite weather.
yeah.
July was, again, we got the free press here. July record,
Hit
pretty
me
much
with some
record
stats.
warm. I think Burlington had 29 of 31 days in the 80s, which I think that tied a record. But maybe I should just read it here. A sizzling summer. Well, this is from today's Free Press. July weather highlights in Burlington. Burlington saw its warmest night ever recorded. We might have gotten that in before early July during the official six-day heat wave, a low of 81. The first low in the 80s. Yeah, the first low, it's kind of the highest maximum, but the first time a low was ever in the 80s in its recorded weather history. Now, here's a mistake, though. The stuff like this drives me crazy. See if you pick out anything. Burlington saw its warmest night ever recorded since local weather records began in 1983. Seeing a mistake there?
How about 1883?
Right, I mean, that's so sloppy. 135 years of weather record keeping.
Yeah.
Anyway, the average high temperature for the month, 87.4 degrees. They're missing a little bit from the last hours of yesterday, but no big change. The average low temperature, 64.4. Hottest day came on the same date as the hottest morning. Temperature reached 97 on July 2nd, whose low was 81. And the six-day heat wave, again, pretty impressive. 93, 96, 97, 93, 95, 95. I think that tied a record for Burlington's longest heat wave on record, a six-day heat wave. Yeah. But yeah, pretty hot stuff.
Like I said, I've never said it before because I do not want to wish my summers away, but I cannot wait till September.
Yeah, I'm a fall. I mean, I've definitely kicked into fall's my favorite season and stuff. The heat is, I used to never complain or not complain much about the heat, but I complain in humidity. Yeah. Plus, I had a bat flying around my bedroom last night. That added to.
A bat?
I get a bat about every 5 years, and last night was one of them. And I didn't get it. I woke up in the middle of the night to some rustling. I must have put on my glasses right next to me, and I saw the bat just leaving the bedroom. It came in, I started reading. I'm, of course, wide awake at that point after looking around for it unsuccessfully. It came back into my room, did a couple circles. I had my tennis racket, but just missed the guy.
Yeah.
So that bat is still there, I assume.
Yeah. Well,
but about every 5 years, I'll get a bat.
Perhaps tonight.
Have you never had a bat issue?
I've had bats in my old house in Swanton Village.
Yeah. But not in your nice digs now. No. Yeah, that's good.
No. So okay.
Anyway,
sports.
Boy, a lot of baseball stuff.
A lot of baseball talk. Of course, we just got
football.
over the trade deadline yesterday.
Yesterday, 4 p.m.
Some action. Now the Yankees lost again today. 7-5.
Oh, they came back a little.
As I predicted, and their pitching is still ERA fourth best.
And Sonny Gray got beat
in the league. Right, Sonny Gray got belted for all seven runs in
early.
2 1/3 inning, and their newest acquisition. And a pitcher I've always liked, and he had pitched with the St. Louis Cardinals, and he had signed in the offseason, late in the offseason, with the Minnesota Twinkies, and he didn't fare all that well with the Twins. But so Lance Lynn came in and he pitched 4 1/3 innings, a shutout ball. Wow. and me thinks
You got to think
that Sonny Gray
Sonny Gray.
is off to the pen, and Lance Lynn will take
Yeah.
his spot. But again, I mentioned this probably a week or two ago. What I don't know. Sonny Gray 5 years ago was like one of the top 3 pitchers in the American League.
Was he
with
really? He
Oakland.
was that good?
He was that good.
Wow.
And I don't know if he either won a Cy Young or was a runner-up in the Cy Young, but he
that right?
was that good. And the other question too is, we've talked about leading up to the trade deadline, Justin Sheffield, the phenom in their minor league system, the pitcher.
Oh yeah.
Well, perhaps now that the deadline has come and gone, and that was their biggest bargaining chip, is perhaps Sheffield should come up and throw.
Of course,
Now,
the big call-up is when they can bring tons of people like September 1st. That's still a
you
month
can
away.
expand your roster from 25
This
to
is ridiculous.
40, which everybody
Insane.
in the world complains about. They think maybe 30 would be.
Yeah.
But of course, I had it circled on the calendar. I'm not so sure unless the Yankees can sweep, but I don't care who you play. It's just so hard to sweep a series, period. But the Yanks and Red Sox
Four-game
go
series.
4-game series starting tomorrow night.
You could probably say the Yanks probably need three wins to pick up a couple games. I'm still, me. I'm never confident about anything. I still think it's Red Sox have a huge advantage, but with the injuries you're picking up.
But even with the loss last night, they still get a good pitching performance. And, not a loss is a loss, but however, I still like my pitching to pitch well.
Pomeranz, pretty, 2 runs, but it was a pretty lucky just 2 runs.
Yeah. So, I would give the Red Sox a comfortable / healthy lead. I don't want to say commanding lead.
Yeah.
But they're in good shape, and I took my calculator out, and the
new
Red
pitcher
Sox
they
are
just picked up, too.
playing at a 688 clip.
Are they
If
really?
they continue to do so, they will end the season with 111 victories, and the Yanks at their clip. And I'm just feeling a slide with the Yanks. They'll still get the wild card, but if they continue at their current clip, they'll win 104 games.
Wow.
Which, the Yankees have had an outstanding season. It was just the Red Sox have been a little bit more outstanding.
So far, the Red Sox pickup of Mr. Evaldi, that was a good, solid pickup, I think.
I thought that was a good pickup.
Although, the guy's had
7 shutout innings.
2 Tommy John surgeries.
Yeah.
That's a little.
Yeah, he was highly touted,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to remember. He was traded to the Miami Marlins.
Huh.
And I don't know if he came from the Dodgers organization or what it was. But again, with the Tommy Johns, and to get 2 of them and to come back.
Yeah.
And of course, he didn't pitch. I've got to ask the director here. I'm catching a lot of talking. Can you get the door? Thank you.
Thanks.
My mind gets distracted easily. Thanks. Great pickup for the Sox.
Had an excellent first game over the weekend.
Will come up with an attitude. You never can have too much pitching.
For sure.
Of
course, we haven't even mentioned Chris Sale, which seems like a minor injury.
Okay,
but, hey.
Here is what I think.
Yeah.
And I think Dombrowski's done a fantastic
I think
job.
he just purposely wanted to give him a little
year.
time off.
Duke, let's go back to the annals of history of exactly 1 year ago. At what point did Chris Sale start to slide?
I think, pretty much after the
Right after August 1st.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I think,
as he had done before too. That's been his.
What does he have? Shoulder inflammation?
Left shoulder inflammation.
Okay, whatever.
He said not that.
Here is what I think. They just basically said, take a week off.
Take a week off.
Don't touch a ball.
Yeah.
Just rest. Stand under an air conditioner, and 3 days before your next start throwing the ball around.
And I guess if that's and you would say that makes sense to put him on the DL if they're gonna do that, just so they can get another body up.
Right. How can you prove that's a phantom injury? I mean, you just can't.
But better to do that than just say we're going to just let him, miss his next
this way
turn or
you're
2.
able to bring somebody up from the minor leagues to take his spot.
No, you might be right.
So I think that was a good move. And again, come mid-September, if they still have that nice lead, it's time to sit some guys down for a game or 2 and get them ready for the playoffs.
Huh.
So, and again, I think Dombrowski's done a nice job on his quote unquote little pickups.
Yeah.
Hasn't had to give away the farm. Now, they
Of
were
course, Ian Kinsler just showed up yesterday.
Kinsler,
So that's
you know,
someone I've always
decent,
liked.
steady players of 36 years of age, but veteran player, he won't get rattled.
Especially with Pedroia. I mean, what are the chances
He's out for
Pedroia
the year.
shows back
Yeah,
up?
yeah, he's definitely
No,
done.
Kinsler's solid. That sounded like a very good pickup.
Yep.
I'm not sure what they gave up. I mean, somebody, I assume. You got that? I never saw a minor league pitcher or somebody
Acquired
too.
second baseman Ian Kinsler for cash considerations from the LA Angels for right-hand pitcher Ty Buttery and left-hand pitcher William Jerez. Now, of all these minor league pitchers the Red Sox have traded, none of them are of any note.
Well, of course, they haven't had, right. I mean,
But-
no starting pitcher in their system has been of any note since Lester, pretty much.
Right. Clay Buchholz is the last
Clay Buchholz
pitcher.
is the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I could
And
mention
the
Clay.
pitcher, the Red Sox have one, like, shore deal pitcher, that Jay Grom. He's 19 years of age. I believe he's a lefty, and he was picked by the Sox first round a couple years ago or last year. Now, from what I've read, is he was a definite top 10 pitcher, but he had some personality issues.
Okay.
And, you know, to me, a good team like the Red Sox should take a flyer on guys like that and hope that they, you know, at age 18, that they grow up, and they will grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
But he, I believe, went down with an arm injury, which might have been, in fact, a Tommy John injury. But I'm wearing the same suit you're wearing. The Nats minor league system has absolutely no starting pitching
Is that right?
whatsoever to speak of. And they just drafted a plethora of pitchers in the June draft. You know, it's nice to dip down to the farm and grab a pitcher. But so, no.
For your Nets, did I hear the score right? 25-4 yesterday.
Well,
or
I just
something?
want to, one thing the Red Sox did not do that everybody expected
Relief pitcher.
was a relief pitcher. Now,
I'm not so-
they
I'm
were
not so
after
concerned about that.
Nats relief pitcher, Kelvin Herrera,
Oh, yeah.
who was, I should say, a great pitcher with the Kansas City Royals, closer for the Royals. His ERA was hovering right around 1.
Yeah.
And the Nats traded for him about a month or so ago and has not pitched well. Sean Doolittle, our all-star closer, it's always a minor injury. It was a toe injury, out for a few days, just resting his toe. Well, it looks like a toe fracture now, and I don't know how long Doolittle's out. So Herrera has inherited the closer position. His ERA with the Nats is around 4. He gave up a run in the ninth inning today. But so I don't know how close they were on that trade. I'm curious what bodies might have come over to Washington. So what occurred after that is, and the Nats had just a little bit too much relief pitching. They traded veteran pitcher Brandon Kisler over to the Cubbies for a Class A starter. But last night's ball game. And let me just preface this by saying,
Which you watched.
I watched on my belly with my laptop in my hotel room last night. And of course, when I lie down, my belly's, so I've got a pretty good view. A 25-4 win is as good as a 1-0 win. And to me, the important thing was, okay, after a major blowout like that, whether you win it or lose it, how do you come back the next day? And they came back today and beat the Mets 5-3.
Oh, yeah.
So, but the news in that game, and as I was watching it, I said to myself, I had never, ever seen this. And I have literally watched thousands of baseball games. And the color man, F.P. Santangelo, used to play with the Expos for a while, said he had never seen that. He pitched the ninth inning. It's 25-1. Usually you put in your worst pitcher, right? You don't want to.
Or maybe even like a position player even.
So Sean Kelly comes in, and they had signed him a couple years ago, 3-year, $15 million contract. He was not happy, okay?
Oh, is that right?
Perhaps he found that as a sign of disrespect. and he gave up a run, pitching fast. The umpire was telling him to slow down, believe it or
Really?
not.
Really?
Then he was slowed way down. The second base umpire told him to speed it up.
Really?
And he was getting mad. He gave up a 2-run home run. He took his glove, slammed it on the ground. I've never seen
Again,
this.
this is one of your guys.
Yeah, Sean Kelly. Then he turns over, Duke. I'll take my chair, and looks right into the Nats dugout
Yeah.
at manager Dave Martinez. Like, you son of a bitch.
Is
You know,
that- is
how
that
dare you
right?
do this to me?
I mean, somebody's got to.
Somebody's going to pitch. So, you know, I told my wife, who
give
is
me a break, buddy.
Mrs. doesn't know a thing about sports, and she didn't really care.
Yeah.
So I get home today, and I recorded the early 12 noon ball game and started
Yeah.
watching that. Well, lo and behold, about 9 o'clock this morning, Sean Kelly had a meeting with general manager Mike Rizzo
Yeah.
to say, Sean, you're gonzo. I said, you
Well,
do
I
not
don't- I don't
disrespect
blame them.
the manager like that. Not only that, you're disrespecting your players, okay? So what basically you're saying is, well, if I shouldn't be pitching, maybe Richard Cowperthwait should be pitching.
That's
You know,
unbelievable.
So, you know, and as I told my wife, there is no I in the word team. And
So he's gone.
they cut him. Now, I will say this.
Good for them.
His ERA was below 3 before last night. He was pitching good.
Yeah.
His whip was .98.
Wow.
Now, I think a team like the Red Sox could pick him up. He
really?
used to pitch with the Yankees, Padres.
So Sean Kelly.
Sean
huh?
Kelly, yeah. You know,
that's so
his
weird.
agent was saying he wasn't upset at Martinez. He was upset at the umpires. Speed it up. Then the other tell him you're throwing too quickly here. So he said that he looked over at Martinez like, oh, hey, do something here. You know, I can say something, but I'm going to get thrown out of the ball game here. So they
Wow,
designate
that's
him for
weird.
assignment. Now, technically, they could pull him back within 7 days. I don't think that's going to happen.
Really?
But again, a team like the Red Sox, a pennant contender, they certainly can do worse for picking up a pitcher in August like that.
Interesting.
So, but I will tell you, is it fun to watch a game like that? Not really.
Yeah.
You know, I still yearn for a 3-2 ball game.
Well, that might be the highest score. I mean, is that right up there? That's as many runs as I've ever heard
That's
of.
the
I
most
think.
runs the Washington Nationals,
25 runs.
you know, had scored. But well, of course, they were up 19-1, and the great relief pitcher Jose Reyes,
Oh yeah.
shortstop, came in and pitched,
Oh, is
and
that
he
right?
was just getting the ball and throwing it in.
right.
So they scored 6 runs off from him. Now his lifetime ERA is 54.
All right.
But again, to me, it was important. What are you doing the next game? And they got a big one. And I think the Mets scored all the runs just to show you the state of the game in the loss. All 3 of the runs were solo shots.
Is that right?
You know,
Wow.
so now Washington, as I told our expert baseball caller, what they did, as I predicted, was nothing. They have
that
a
right?
veteran-laden ball club,
Yeah.
and all they needed to do was get healthy and start playing up to their capabilities.
Oh, what a
And
mediocre. Was today's win, does that get him a one game over
yeah.
500?
So Duke, they're 5 games out of first.
54 and 53,
Right.
5 games out
Five
of
games
first.
out of first. Now, this is,
And Atlanta's ahead of them also.
yeah. Now, they have, I believe, a 4-game series with the Braves next week.
Yeah.
So, you know, 1 game at a time. It's a possibility. Bryce Harper was in the news, like they're looking to get rid of him.
Is that right? I mean,
Well,
i.e. to
Mike
to trade
Rizzo
him?
said, I listened to all offers. He was never really out there. But
Does Rizzo say they have some that they would like to keep him, or does he not
oh,
even say
sure,
that?
yeah,
He says that.
yeah. I mean, Duke, if I was the general manager of
Yeah.
a team, I would trade my mother
Yeah.
if I can get more than equal value for that trade. Although my mother's a switch hitter, and she does hit for power.
Mother's a great lady.
Yeah.
But you think I mean, is he almost definitely gone? Is it almost not quite? So it's not inconceivable.
I think he likes playing for Washington.
Yeah.
But the thing is, from day one at training camp, at the press conference, he said, and I quote, "I will not be talking about my new contract. So don't even bring it up. I'm not talking about it." So there's no questions coming his way, and I don't blame him with that. So, and again, misguided baseball fans have been on him all year. Yeah, he's hitting what, 226 right now. But again, Duke, the National League leader, Nolan Arnault, the third baseman for the Rockies. I can't pronounce his name right.
Can't help you.
He's a Gold Glove winner. Arenado.
Maybe I
there
can.
You go. He's got 28 home runs, and to me, when you're playing in Colorado, you're always playing with an asterisk.
Mr. Arenado, that's what we're talking about?
Right.
Okay.
He's got 28 home runs. I think Jesus Aguilera, the big first baseman for the Brewers, has 26. And Harper's right there with 25 home runs. Harper's got 65 RBIs. This is not a horrendous year. Now, if he wasn't hitting 226 and it was hitting 276, I'm sure those extra 40 points would probably garner him an extra 10 RBIs.
But you backed off were you up to $500 million?
I guaranteed you he'd get $400 million.
So 400.
Yeah.
You're backing off.
Well, I will tell you this. I was in Dr. J, John Johnson's office, getting my eyes checked. I probably should have had my brain checked back in April. And I hate it when I go there because I'm always yapping with him. And, we're talking sports, and I hate to take up his time. So we did bring up Bryce Harper briefly. And I said, well, Doc, I think he'll minimum get $300 million. You know how Doc is.
Yeah, Doc's not going there, right?
He's very, no, that's not going to happen. So, but again, he does not turn 26 until the last week of October. Okay, even an 8-year contract, Duke, he's all of 33 years of age. And he's certainly not over the hill at that time. So I conceivably could see 8 years, $30 million. Do the math on that. That's about 36 million average. Now, you got to remember, not Mike Stanton, is for the Yankees, Giancarlo. Of course, he was Mike Stanton for the first 5 years of his career.
Is that he changed his first
name?
Yeah,
he changed his name to Giancarlo. Whether that
John,
was
that makes John Sterling happy on his home run calls.
Now, he signed a contract with the Marlins maybe 3 years ago for maybe 305, 310. So, it depends, what's out there in the market. I mean, I think it's our guess that we consider Manny Machado a bigger catch than a Harper, being an infielder and able to play multiple positions.
Well, I saw the Phillies. Of course, the Red Sox played the Phillies last 2 games split. Phillies, not a bad looking team.
Listen, they're an up and coming team.
They're
like Atlanta. They're about a year ahead of what I suspected.
And having
that's
folks
a good
like
ball
Mr. Arrieta,
Jake Arrieta, former Cy Young.
Who pitched a very good game against the Red Sox yesterday.
ERA of 3.24, which is decent. In Philadelphia, Citizens Bank Park is a hitter's ballpark. So, he's done well.
But you're not conceding. You still have some hope of catching them.
Harper starting to hit even for average. Daniel Murphy, who came back in mid-June, his knee was operated, and I probably still could beat him in a race right now. He runs like he has a refrigerator on his back, but the guy can hit. He got off to a horrendous start the first 2-3 weeks when they got back. For the month of July, Duke, I think he hit pretty close to 350. Daniel Murphy could get out of bed at 3 in the morning and hit. So, that's where I'm hitching my wagons to. Anthony Rendon's playing well. They're all starting to play well. Tanner Roark, the pitchers, pitch well the last 2 games. So, Atlanta's actually starting to fade a bit, but
Yeah.
Philadelphia's looked pretty solid all year.
Yeah,
And
I'm
Philadelphia's made some
I think the Red Sox are
Moves.
dealing with, I think the Red Sox are playing at Philly in the not too distant future. I think they have some more games against Philly. The last 2 games were at Fenway.
That was just a 2-game series, right?
2-game series at Fenway.
So
My
2
guess
and
is
2?
they probably got 3 at Philly, I think, coming up.
Yeah. So if I looked at my transactions, I know the Phils made some moves.
Huh.
And I know Adam Jones, very peculiar case.
Oh, yeah, with the O's. He's
Baltimore
still there?
Orioles, real steady player,
Yeah.
veteran player.
Yeah.
He had the 5 and 10 rule where he could void a trade.
Yeah.
So the Orioles had him traded to the Phillies,
Oh, yeah?
and he declined the trade.
Oh, is that right?
Now, whether he likes living in the
Interesting.
Baltimore area, I don't know what the story is.
Oh,
but
really?
from going to a horrendous team
Yeah.
like the Orioles to Philadelphia, that's currently residing in
He's
first
been an
place.
Oriole for a long time. You got to think he just is comfortable in
Yeah.
Baltimore. He's
Yeah.
kind of as much as anybody, he's the face of the Orioles.
Yeah, he is now for sure. Now, did he start out with Seattle? I think that's
not
where
sure.
he's from. But I'll tell you about Kansas City. Baltimore has been the proverbial cellar dweller all year, but Kansas City's not that far. I
Yeah.
was checking stats here the little bit of time I had.
Yeah.
They scored the least runs in baseball this year.
Kansas City?
And I believe they have the highest ERA in baseball.
Really?
That's not a very good combination
No, terrible.
to have.
Terrible team. They have virtually the same record as the Orioles.
Now, the American League batting average, I'm just full of it tonight here.
Yeah, that's good.
The average batting average in the AL is 249.
Yeah.
National League is 247.
Wow.
ERA, AL is 4.23. National League is 4.07. So if I'm bad-mouthing a pitcher with a 4.25 ERA,
Yeah.
you just throw up your hands and say, Nighthawk, you're an idiot.
Average guy.
That qualifies him
Interesting.
as an average pitcher.
Of course, we can go back to the one of the sets I hate so much, quality starts. Of course,
Yeah.
3 runs, 6 innings, 4.50 ERA.
Yeah.
I hate that stat.
Oh, boy, I did it.
Hate
Here,
that
I'm
stat.
going to,
A quality
I am
start.
going to,
Give me a
oh, you
break.
don't have socks on. I'll blow the glasses off your head. The percentage of complete games this year,
Yeah.
would you care to
I
venture
mean,
a guess?
of all games in
All
Major
games
League
of
Baseball.
Major League Baseball. Give me a percentage
Boy,
of
I certainly wouldn't give you more than 1%. How about 1/3 of 1%? What would that be? 0.3?
All right, I didn't really shock you all that much. It's 0.84%.
0.84?
And without a calculator in front of me, 0.8, that to me is like 1 in 125 games that you would get a complete game. I think the best pitcher in the National League is Max Scherzer. He might have 1
Is that
complete
right?
game. Chris Sale's the best in the
trying to think.
American League.
Chris Sale might.
And I'll tell you another thing, a column they don't have anymore in
Yeah.
stats for pitchers,
Yeah. It's CG.
CG, complete
Why
games.
Why bother?
It's not even in there anymore.
Yeah, not
So,
surprising.
and the New York Mets, their team batting average,
Yeah.
229.
Jeez,
Isn't that
that's
really
unreal.
bad? But I do want to say something
What a
nice about the
horrible
Mets.
team. Yeah.
They didn't trade
They didn't trade either. of
DeGrom
their- Yeah.
or the mighty Thor Syndergaard, but I think they made a right move. Now they're thin in positional players,
Yeah.
but if these guys can stay healthy now, Syndergaard just came off that foot, mouth, and hoof disease or whatever the heck that is, and apparently J.A. Happ has it.
Jay Happ has that also.
What's that disease? I don't even know what it is.
When I heard I thought the announcer was maybe kidding or something. Yankees Happ, this is from the Globe today. Yankees Happ ailing. Newly acquired Yankees left-hander J.A. Happ was diagnosed with hand, foot, and mouth disease, the second pitcher on a New York team to be recently affected by the illness. The disease is an infectious illness that often affects young children. Met star Noah Syndergaard currently is on the DL with the disease.
Yeah,
that's
he
kinda-
came, right. He came back
weird.
today.
He came
for
back
his first
today?
appearance.
Yeah, that's a
But
weird
Happ
one, huh?
pitched extremely well for the Yankees.
Yeah.
His first start, I think he went 6 innings.
Boy, Sonny Gray, I can't believe they're going to start Sonny Gray again.
Yeah.
I was listening to, I heard some of the Yanks game today, hearing Messrs. Or John Sterling and Susan Waldman, and Susan wasn't mincing any words, saying, "Boy, I hate to say it, John, his stats are whatever, pretty brutal."
Yeah. Let's get some calls here if we can.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
528-5315. Of course, that's our new number at the new studio here.
Yeah, I'd love to hear
I do
from
not
some
know it by
callers.
heart. 528-5315.
Yeah.
Now, my complaint of the week. The media is so desperate for news or creating news.
We're talking sports now? We're going beyond sports?
Just sports. This past week, 3 players, Josh Hader, all-star reliever of the Brewers, Sean Newcomb, the fine young pitcher of the Atlanta Braves, and Trey Turner, the outstanding shortstop of the Washington Nationals.
Yeah.
They all tweeted homophobic or racist stuff. Do we have a call?
Yeah, we got a call.
Yep. Okay, I'll hold my thought.
Yeah.
Good evening, and I thank you very much for being the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County.
Good evening. How we doing, gentlemen? I
Good.
tried
Hey.
to get this call in before Nighthawk filed this complaint.
What complaint is that?
Thank you for calling.
About the news media.
Oh,
You know,
well, yeah, I
Yeah,
was
you can
gonna-
finish your point, Hawk.
Well, let me just finish my point here first. Then, caller, you can have the rest of the show. But Hader, Newcomb, and Turner, they were like all 17 years of age, and they were writing not so nice stuff,
And these are all tweets or
tweets or whatever.
Whatever.
Okay, let's face it. Most 17-year-olds are knuckleheads, anyways, and whether they're tweeting to impress their friends or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, these guys in their mid-20s now, they're not the same person anymore. And, they practically whipped these guys to get apologies out of them. And they all graciously did. But, really, do you really have to dig back on somebody's history like that? It's Josh Hader. I mean, I know the guy well enough. He seems like a great guy. What you are at 17 certainly isn't what you are at 27.
Yeah, it's a typical thing.
And it's, I don't know how they dig all this stuff up, but they do. Anyways, caller, go ahead.
Yeah, that goes with any media, the news and everything. Back up, growing up, you had news hour around supper time, so you had like 30 minutes of world news. You had local sports or sports, and you had the weather. So your day's news was condensed into 1 hour.
You're
and
right.
Now you have 24-hour news, and that 24 hours has to be filled.
Yeah.
And you got 95% of it filled with negativity and 5% good stuff. So that is what the media is. And like me, I don't watch the news. I get the St. Albans Messenger. That's the only newspaper I read. 90% what I hear, I do not believe. I can't be swayed or coaxed into anything. It's just a bunch of bull crap that's out there. Half of these networks and stations ought to be shut down. But that's just me. And like you said, kids at 17, you shouldn't be like you are at 25. Well, it goes well beyond 25 years old too. So it's just the way the world is, and guys like me, I just try to ignore it.
Now, caller, have you seen the show since the beginning here at 6:30?
No, I just got in.
Oh, okay. Well, let me ask you the first question. We brought up Chris Sale. Me thinks that was a smart move on Dave Dabrowski's part, just to shut him down for a week and a half.
Oh yeah, that I would almost bet anything. This is the beauty. We discussed this last year. The beauty of the 10-day disabled list. You miss one start versus the old 15-day disabled list where it was at least 2 starts you missed. But he's held the pitch count down on Chris Sale this year, as well as some of the other pitchers. Our bullpen has been very good, I feel, this year. So you can pull these guys out in the 7th inning, under 90 pitches or so. But I think that's the case, Nighthawk, because I saw Chris Sale in the bullpen in the dugout during the game last night, and he looked far from anything in pain. I mean, he looked like a regular day at work. So yeah, I think, this is what it is. We got a 6-game lead and, skip a start, let them rest. We got Pomerantz back to fill in a spot. We've got Evaldi now, and, we've got a couple other guys that can step up and really, take a start. So, yeah, that's what I think it is as well.
Yeah. Now, how close were the Red Sox to acquiring Calvin Herrera?
Nothing.
I
nothing
don't
can
really
tell you.
know. The little bit that I got on it, I think the Nats were the ones that were kind of afraid to pull the trigger on anything.
Yeah. I'm just curious what bodies.
But I do love our bullpen. I really do. And this Bracer guy that came out of no place, he's been doing a heck of a job.
That's well put. He was in Pawtucket? I'd never even heard of the guy.
No, the beginning of the year, he was in spring training with everybody, and he kind of raised some eyebrows. He did some closing early in the spring training, and some guys are lifting their eyebrows. The guy was throwing 99, 100 miles an hour, and obviously not having a big name or much of a history of being a good pitcher. He was sent back down, but he pitched last year in Japan.
Oh, is that right? He pitched in Japan. You know more
Yeah,
than
so
I.
I guess the word I was looking for, he didn't have much of a resume, but he did raise some eyebrows, and he's pitched, I think, pretty well since he came up here. And Cora has moved him deeper in, the 7th and 8th inning, so, he's got a lot of confidence in him. And like I said, the guy throws hard and looking pretty good.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty comfortable with their bullpen. The starting pitching, especially with some injuries, is more of a concern to me. And of course, David Price has another huge. For people who say his start Sunday night, his latest start against the Yankees, isn't big. I mean, if he gets killed yet again by the Yankees, isn't that a concern? Or you're not as concerned as me about that?
No, I'm nervous. I'm hopeful, like we said with Chris Sale, it's just a well-needed rest. But Erod, my goodness, that he's a hard guy to replace. He has such a nice year going on, and when he does pitch, he'll rock up 8, 9, 10 strikeouts. But I'm just hoping Evaldi keeps pitching the way he pitched the other night, and we'll see where it goes from there.
How much playing time do you think Ian Kinsler will get?
Oh, I think every
Oh,
day.
he'll be in there every night.
Every night?
Absolutely.
He was Gold Glove or runner-up last year.
No,
he's a new second baseman.
Yeah, and they can use Nunez. Third base is a better position for Nunez, maybe for Holt too, if Devers is out longer. I think Kinsler's playing. Oh, why wouldn't you play this guy every day? Pretty much.
What happened to Devers?
Devers, he's back on the D.
It was a hammy he pulled this time.
Yeah, hammy.
He was running around from second to third, and he came up a little bit lame. But, I think the Red Sox have the luxury right now of when you have somebody with an injury like this, you can say, hey, let's just 10-day disable list, and we have capable guys of filling in. And it's pretty much been the case all year. Nunez has been doing halfway decent. I think Holt has had a very nice year, too,
Decent year.
in his role. So it's a manager's dream, I believe, to have these guys step up and, do the job.
Yeah, caller, I told Duke earlier in the show the Red Sox winning percentage as of tonight is .688. You multiply that out with 162 games, that gives the Red Sox 111 victories this year. So as you said,
that'd sure be nice.
They have some room to play, and that's the luxury of when you get a lead is you're going to be able to sit some guys down. And I'm just curious too. This hot, muggy weather.
You can do that, but I'm still not 100% confident. We have the Yankees. We'll be playing them quite a few more times, and at this point, I do not want to be a wild card.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're going to go in and see Paxton from Seattle, or the A's could be a spoiler too.
Yeah.
And these guys know how to play
Yeah,
ball.
the
Yeah.
Mariners lost again today. The Athletics are only a half game
Really?
out of that wild card spot.
So we have one. We've
I
got
mean,
one
Now, see,
race.
if you played them in a wild card, it'd be Manea you're playing, and if he could take you to the 6th inning, these guys have a knockout bullpen.
Yeah.
So they're a very dangerous team.
As Duke always notes, I'm not high on the statistic of a save, but did you note that the Rangers closer, what's his name, Keone Kela or Kela?
Keone Kela.
Right, he got traded
No, is that right?
yesterday.
Huh.
Yeah, well, they have two. They had Dykman. He was the 8th inning guy, which has closed before, and they also traded him. So they've got this younger guy, 24-year-old Jose Leclerc.
Yeah.
And he's got like 11 or 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. It's hard to get a bat on his pitches. He pitched a couple nights ago. He pitched the 7th or 8th, struck everybody out he faced. So I think the Rangers said, we'll take Jose Leclerc. We're paying him $400,000. He's our stopper.
It's just like Blake Trinan, the closer, and having a great year, made the All-Star team for the Athletics. He's been on the Nats for a number of years. He was horrible. He was expected to be a very good pitcher, and they traded him for a bag of balls and a jock strap to the A's, and he's one of the top closers this year. So
it's just kind of funny how a relocation can change you. Look at Sonny Gray. I mean, he was awesome in Oakland, and he was bombed again today.
But caller, let me ask you this question.
Terrible day.
If Max Scherzer and Chris Sale were closers, okay, I'd almost be betting my life that their ERA would not even be over a half run after the season. Could you imagine those?
Oh, that's for sure.
Right, they would go
those
in.
Guys are lights out.
Okay, like Scherzer, for example, throws constantly at 97. He went in the All-Star game because he only knew he had to pitch 2 innings. He threw 98 miles an hour because he was able to just jack it up a little bit. To me, it's still always about the starters and how many innings you can go. But
oh, no doubt. I mean, you got to have a good start and a good game to get to your closer.
Yeah. So, no.
Now, Duke, are you happy with the moves or the lack of moves we made?
Yeah, I think pretty good moves. I mean, Evaldi had a great start. Sounds like a solid pitcher, although 2 Tommy John surgeries is a bit concerning, but he looks very solid. Ian Kinsler, I've always liked Ian Kinsler. Solid player in Pedroia.
I do too. Those are 2 good moves, and really the only moves we really had to do, and really Kinsler was a replacement move for Pedroia.
Yeah.
Like my wife and I were talking, and we said, you don't want to make too many moves. We've got the best record in baseball, so let's not tinker with things too much.
Yeah.
But I agree. No, I think good moves.
And caller, you tell me who the Red Sox gave up: Ty Buttery and Williams Jerez. I've never even heard of these.
And
guys.
money. They got plenty of money to throw around, obviously. No, I'd say the Red Sox did well.
No, I don't really know neither. I think when you make these trades, you get 3 or 4 young players. You hope maybe one of them will end up being a starter someplace.
Yeah.
Now, it's pretty interesting. Baltimore, they have received 14 minor league players. They slashed their payroll $29 million and gained about $3 million in the international money.
Huh.
Yep. And the Tampa also picked up a ton of prospects. But my question with Tampa is, okay, you got prospects. You've always had a good minor league system.
Yeah.
But when it's time for free agency, you never can afford to sign these guys. And as you noted last week, I mean, Tampa's playing, I think, a game above 500, where even Kevin Cash should be considered manager of the year. But it's just, to me, a sad situation down in Tampa.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. You're a National League guy. Who was this Pham guy they picked up?
Tommy Pham.
He had like a great year last year, I understand.
Yeah, Tommy Pham was great last year for the Cards. Not okay this year, but not close to what he was last year. Very good ball player, and so that was a good pickup. So now,
So
caller.
you guys feeling good about your football teams?
Well, I just want to give you a slap in the face right now with one of my I told you so's. Remember a month ago, you said, well, what are the Nats going to do at the trade deadline? What are they going to do to get back in? And I said to you, nothing. They're just going to hope these guys can get healthy and start playing up to their potential. And aside from giving Kinsler to the Cubbies, they did absolutely nothing yesterday. So, we're just going to go to battle with the troops we have. And we're only 5 games. I mean, I know that's a lot of games, August 1st, come back on. But, and I'm not throwing a big bet on the table, but I feel confident. And I will tell you this, when we won the division by 20 games last year, every game was so meaningless. I'm watching every game now, like it's the 7th game of the World Series.
It's kind of ironic. A much worse season, but kind of a more interesting.
Oh, I used to whine all the time. Oh, this season's so boring.
I want to give I certainly give the Red Sox enough grief at times. Caller, also I want to mention, holding on to Blake Swihart, that's looking pretty good right now. And when they unloaded Hanley Ramirez,
they look like the smartest people on earth now.
Yeah, when they unloaded Hanley, I had, as I said, mixed emotions about that. I didn't know what to think, but of course everybody at the time thought that Swihart would be given, designated for assignment. Everybody thought that, including Swihart, I'm sure, who then later asked for a trade. Right. But things happen, Christian Vasquez gets injured, so Swihart's playing some pretty good ball. For the record, the kid's got an 11-game hitting streak, and he's catching. Looks like from hearing the announcers and watching him, looks like he's catching a pretty good game. So kudos to the Red Sox. That, I'd say, what a versatile guy. He played his first game at third base the other day. I heard it on radio. It sounds like he made at least one very good play, but so kudos. Sounds like that move was a masterstroke, keeping Swihart and telling Hanley to go down to wherever.
And I said, to me, without Hanley, I looked at the Red Sox as a completely different ball club.
Yeah.
One of my favorite cliches is addition by subtraction. And when I saw him gone, I said, now this looks like a World Series
And I
team.
told you, Dan Shaughnessy in particular, he was the one guy who jumped out and said, terrible, terrible move. He adds life to the clubhouse. He's a good postseason player, and that's. But anyway, I haven't heard Shaughnessy complain about that move lately.
Let me think here. What team leads the majors in runs scored this year?
Yeah, I'm sure it could be
Boston
the Red Sox. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So that looked like that seems like a great
throw
move.
a guy out at second. Was it last night before?
Yeah.
One of them. And this guy, the release was so quick. The ball hit his mitt in about 1 second. It was down to second base. He threw him out, and they showed it a couple times. And I said, my goodness, this is from a guy that vaguely plays, I like him behind the plate a lot better than Sandy Leon.
Sandy
seems to have a lot of balls go through him, the curve balls that bounce in the dirt a little bit. And I think Swihart's a better backstopper right there, keeping those balls in front of him. But his bat is alive. He just needed a chance to play.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so that looks like a master's
I agree with you, Duke. That's very good for us.
And talk about a versatile guy. As Bobby says, he's doing a good job catching. Sounds like he played a good game at third. He's played first, and I think he's played some second also.
Guys like Brock Holt and Blake Swihart, with the addition of one extra reliever on every team now.
Good point. You've
got to have a
somebody
Superman
like that
on the team. And the Red Sox have two
a couple
Supermen.
guys. Yeah, that's a good
Holt
point.
and Swihart are
good point.
So versatile. And it's just the nature of the game now. You've got that extra relief pitcher.
Yeah.
And, guy goes 6 innings and he's...
Yeah. Huck, one stat, you obviously know that. I'm not sure you mentioned it tonight. You mentioned it before, but I just looked at stats. Mr. Harper leads the NL in walks, like 84 walks or something. That, to me, is good.
Oh, he's got a great
get on base.
percentage.
So that kind of makes me a little less concerned about his poor average. His on-base percentage,
Right, you really
obviously,
should look at on-base
his on-base
percentage over
percentage
batting
is
average.
like 330, 40, 50 or
Oh,
something?
he's up around 380.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Now, the kid Juan Soto, the 19-year-old,
Yeah, how's he been doing?
well, I think he's about ready to buy his first can of shaving cream. He's
Not a
still
beer,
hitting over,
unfortunately.
He didn't come up to the last week of May, so he virtually missed the first 2 months of the season.
Yeah.
Still hitting over 300, 13 home runs, 36 RBIs. He may be on his way to win Rookie of the Year.
Is that right?
His only contenders is that Roland Acuna Jr. from the Braves and Brian Anderson from the Marlins.
Wow.
So, but he's been exciting.
But that's interesting. So this year, these games mean a lot.
dude.
Every game means something.
They're so important. I mean, we played the Marlins last week. We won the first 2 games. We lose the third game 2-1, which I hate losing those kind of games.
Yeah.
And we don't even show up 5-0. But fortunately, the schedule's in our favor. We played the lowly Mets the last 2 games, and now we have the Reds. And we'll be playing against Matt Harvey on Sunday. And then next week is a huge series against the Atlanta Braves. So,
Well, yep, that's a biggie.
Yeah, if you guys can carry over what you did yesterday there, it'll be good. You know, your bats came alive, and maybe it was a big wake-up call for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, you certainly have the team there if you can play with consistency. What you got to do is win 10 out of 13 ball games. You got to put some kind of a streak together.
Right, and I told my golf buddy Joe that we're not going to win 15 games in a row. That's not going to happen. All we have to do, you just win your series, and you're going to you do that, you're going to gain ground. So,
Yeah, I mean, right now, even if you gain a game a week, you know, within a little over a month, you'll be tied for first. And I'm sure you're going to have a couple more head-on-head series with Philadelphia.
And the important thing to remember, too.
I watched Nola again pitch. I told you during the World Series how impressed I was with him. This guy is awesome.
Aaron
Boy,
Nola
I love
for the
watching
Phils.
him pitch.
Yeah.
Not against us, but I love watching him pitch.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I mentioned the Phillies. The Phillies look like a pretty decent team, having watched some, heard of them the last couple of games against the Red Sox. I'm pretty impressed with the Phils.
The most impressive thing about
That's for sure.
baseball season is the wild card race in the National League. I'll hit the American League. The Yanks are up 6 games. Mariners are up a half game over Oakland, as I mentioned. Then it's Tampa at 9, which is not in the race. But the National League, Milwaukee's up by 3. You have Atlanta, Colorado, and the LA Dodgers tied in a virtual tie for that second spot. The red hot Pittsburgh Pirates that picked up Rays pitcher Chris Archer is 3 games out, and you have St. Louis and Washington and the Giants have 4.5 games out. Now,
that's impressive.
Can you say, can the Nationals gain 4.5 games?
Sure.
Sure. However,
Well, they got a lot
can
of
you
teams
jump
to
over
jump
1,
over.
2, 3, 4, 5 guys?
That's a lot of
No,
teams.
that's not possible. So we will not.
Yeah, you got to win your division.
Right, we have to win the division.
Okay, so is that right? You're conceding. You're not going to get a wild card.
And I'm having a gut feeling. I like the Rockies for some reason, and I don't know that much about them, but just a gut feeling that they'll get the second wild card.
Well, that goes back to what you say all the time, Nighthawk. Victory in April is just as important as a victory in September.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what the Red
same.
Sox did. They came out of the box red hot, and they kept it that way. Yeah, when the player says, "Don't worry about it, it's a long season," punch him in the mouth. It's crazy.
It is a long season.
It
but
is a long season.
You got to worry about it.
Yeah, and as I always say, you can't win the pennant in April, but you sure as heck can lose one. So, caller, thank you.
No doubt about it.
Thank you for checking in.
Okay, have a good night, guys.
We
Great
shall.
show.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Duke, we talked
Appreciate it.
briefly about the Expos a week or 2 ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the Messenger last week. There was like an AP story on the Expos.
Might have.
It was on top of their sport. You didn't catch that?
I'm not. To be honest, I'm not sure.
A sizable article. Basically, what it said, Major League Baseball's main concern.
I think I did read it because the commissioner had made a point of mentioning Montreal at some point. I think it did. Rob
the main
Manfred.
concern is getting Oakland and Tampa new ballparks. And of course, we've been hearing about that for years. I mean, I know a number of years ago that Oakland was going to move to San Jose.
And there's what? There's some movement.
How close is San Jose to San Francisco, by the way?
San Jose, I've flown into San Jose on my long ago trips out there before. Oh, San Jose, half hour, 45 minutes.
Okay.
I don't think it's even an hour away to the south.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if the Giants were all that
I think People
thrilled.
Express, used to go into San Jose and Oakland as opposed to San Fran International.
Yeah, because I think the Giants didn't like them being the territorial
And of course, the Niners
rights.
are down that way. Is it Santa Clarita were they? Wherever
Santa
they are.
Clara.
So it's Santa Clara.
Levi Stadium.
Okay, that's not. I think that's not too far from San Jose. That's down that way.
So how far is Santa Clara from San Francisco?
Again, I think
20
it's
miles or so?
Yeah, I think it's like half hour, 45 minutes, probably not an hour.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yeah. So they have to deal with Oakland. Of course, Tampa, as everybody knows, really aren't the Tampa Bay. Well, they are the Tampa Bay Rays, but they don't play in Tampa.
Yeah, they
they
play
play
in
in
St.
St. Petersburg. And the issue is to get to the ballpark in St. Pete, you have to cross that bridge,
Yes, I know that
which
bridge.
is so busy. It takes forever to get there.
long
Just a
bridge.
pain in the butt to get
So
there.
it may be
And-
Tampa. I don't have a good handle on the
Well,
demos, but it may be Tampa might be a legit place if they had a stadium
So
there.
they were saying, I don't believe it's a legit
Yeah.
place. And you look at the Miami Marlins, brand new ballpark 3 years ago, and they're averaging
But
14,000
again,
a game.
Florida's
Right,
a
and
joke.
exactly, and I've said that, and I hate to be redundant, but if you
I
move
guess
to Florida tomorrow, all you do is do what I do. You
Yeah.
buy the Major League Baseball package, and you're going to be sitting at your porch in Florida, and they're going to watch. You're still going to be a Red Sox fan
Yeah.
because
So
the
your
games
point
are
is, hey,
available.
Tampa's Florida. Why is Tampa going to do anything?
Right. And the state of Florida was burnt big time because Jeffrey Loria, that had owned the Marlins, pretty much had the state in the Dade County. Is that Miami?
Miami-Dade County.
Yeah. I mean, they just paid hundreds of millions to Loria, and he had to wait X number of years until he could sell his team.
Yeah.
And of course, he sold it this past winter.
Yeah.
Which is Derek Jeter.
Derek
is
Jeter and
running,
company.
And doing a decent job with that. So
No, Florida, geez, for baseball. So your point is why no reason to think Tampa's going to be any
I
different
don't
than
think so.
St. Pete?
And they were
maybe it'd be a little different,
saying,
but hard to think it's going to be a big success.
like expansion on the East Coast, Montreal being one, and you can get into
you hear
the
what?
exchange
You
rate.
hear Charlotte.
And Charlotte.
You hear maybe even Norfolk once in a while, which has a AAA team, which I guess Charlotte does too.
Yeah, Charlotte would be a pretty big contender. Now, explain to me about the exchange rate. I haven't really followed that
As in
closely.
Canadian, boy, it's
I heard
Canadian dollar's been stuck at within a penny or two of about 76 cents US.
Okay. So you're giving up a quarter.
Pretty low.
Yeah.
Pretty
so
low.
that has to come in play. I mean, you look at the city of Quebec. They built a $400 million new hockey arena
Yeah.
on the hope, no guarantees, they would get a franchise. And I've heard Gary Bettman saying, geez, that Canadian dollar, it's not good business.
But again, isn't that what Montreal would have to do? I mean, build a stadium and hope they get a team? I mean, is it going to go the other way? Is it going to go the other way around?
Right. They would never put a brick down.
Okay, so here's the story. Well, yeah, you'll get a team and you'll get the new team once the new stadium is built.
No. My guess is if Tampa came up north, as we all know would be the most practical move, refurb the Big O for 2 years while construction.
For a couple of years.
Right.
But I mean, you'd need a guarantee. You would
Absolutely
you would need a guarantee.
But the problem with
you'd have
Canada
a new stadium.
and the province of Quebec, they don't like giving money out for,
Yeah.
sports.
And especially given what's happened in Quebec City. Can you blame them?
Yeah.
As you said, $400 million for a new La Colisée.
Yeah. But
And I guess it's got obviously a minor league team playing there.
But I said it
no
once.
NHL.
I said it a million times. You put them in that East Division. You got the Boston Red Sox coming into town. Are you going? Of course you're going.
Sure. It would seem like Toronto, New York, Boston.
And what I simply would do is I would get a hotel room for a couple nights up there and just make a party out of it. And I realize I'm the lone wolf.
No, I hear you. If
know,
Montreal's
well,
in the AL East,
I could get a bus full of Red Sox fans easily.
you would think they would do well.
Yeah.
The key is Tampa, and the key is getting Tampa getting the Rays out of Florida. And I just don't know. If he pulled that off. That would seem to be the key.
Yeah. So
Speaking of one hockey note, while I think of it, again, a great Boston Bruin, Rick Nifty Middleton. They're going to retire his number.
Really?
Sounds like he may be Hall of Fame bound. He sounds like you don't. Is
no,
that right? Not
no.
Hall of Fame.
He's not a Hall of Fame now.
Is that right? Do they have like a veterans committee or nothing like that? So not Hall
Rick
of
Middleton's
Fame.
got to be pretty close to your age.
But a very good player. I think a little
Yeah,
younger.
he came over from the New York Rangers.
Oh yeah.
Middleton
Oh
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm
I
trying
just
to
saw
remember.
his stats. Almost 900 games, like 881 points in about like 850 games or something.
He was a
But
good
great
player, but
Bruin.
not a Hall
So
of
not
Fame
Hall of
player.
Fame. Anyway, but he's very happy to have his number head up into the
And I
rafters.
actually was going to do a couple of quick hockey notes.
Yeah.
I bumped into a young guy, and I say young guy, I hate it. He's about 35 years old. Isn't it terrible when you start calling 35 years?
Sounds pretty young to me.
And I was wearing a Montreal Expo Andre Dawson T-shirt,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Hey, Expos," and you go, "Yeah." So I started talking baseball. I go, "Where are you from?" He goes, "Montreal." I go, "Yeah, I'm also a Canadiens fan." I go, "They're going to have another dreadful season." He goes to me without taking a breath. They're going to be bad for the next 5 years.
Next 5 years.
Yeah, and I told you. Now, and they got Carey Price, who's 31 years of age.
He's got how many more
Just-
years?
Just starting his 8-year, $10.5 million contract
Wow.
with a bad team. I'm just hopeful.
Or would
that
you say
they're-
deal him and get a bunch of
I would deal
bodies?
him and Shea Weber have
Probably
that
would too.
knee operation mid-June.
Not back till December
Not
or
back till
something?
Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, Shea Weber still. Listen, we're not playoff bound, and I will bet you a caseload of money tonight
Yeah.
that they're just not going to happen. So
So
why?
you would definitely
I
try
would,
to unload
I would
Price.
trade Price and Weber and get some good kids
Yeah.
and let the GM look
Yeah,
at the
why-
camera and say, listen,
Why not?
don't say we're just tweaking, because we're not. We're in a complete rebuild, and it is going to take some time. And the other note, sometimes hockey stuff will go past us. That was a great pickup the Bruins made last month on the backup goaltender, old friend Yaroslav Halak.
Oh yeah.
Used
Yeah, he's good.
Played with the Canadians, had some great years with St. Louis,
Yeah.
and had some nice years with the Islanders.
Yeah, it's very solid number
Great,
two.
great pickup.
Yeah.
Per chance Tuca goes down.
No, I'm pretty
Halak-
psyched about the Bruin. Boy, I feel bad about your
Yeah.
Habs. Going back in time, not that I guess given the state of the team, not a good state. The PK Subban was that trade not a crazy trade at the time, or does that trade look?
Well, it looks
worse
bad
all
now
the-
because Weber
right with the
Weber
injury.
literally got hurt the first game last
But
year.
aside from, but at the time it didn't seem crazy to
Well,
you. The line was what? PK was kind of losing the locker room.
Losing the locker room, and management didn't like that he was bigger than the team.
Yeah.
And the truth is, if that's possible, PK Subban was bigger than the Montreal Canadiens.
Although given their just colorlessness, whatever, boy, maybe you could use somebody like that just to
He
give
is
you a
so
little
fun.
color.
And Duke, would he cough up the puck a number of times during the season? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But boy, he was so fun to watch.
But geez, Huck, I'm sorry. That is
Yeah,
one team
yeah,
that sure
yeah,
seems to
yeah.
be really down.
And I don't want to jinx the Red Sox, but I kind of put the Red Sox in the same position as the Bruins. Bruins had a great season last year. Stupidly,
didn't last too long.
they lost the last game of the
Cost them
season.
home ice advantage
where
against Tampa.
They were going to be playing Carolina in the first round if they won the
Oh, is that
game,
right?
or the Toronto Maple Leafs first round. Well, sure, they beat the Leafs, but the Leafs took them to
They
7.
did not beat the Leafs easily. It was a
Right,
tough
exactly.
series.
And it just takes so much out of you more than any sport. And the Bruins lost in the second round.
Yeah.
And the Bruins should be a great team this year. Brad
It's like a pretty
Marchand
good
was
team.
like one of the top
And
5.
some very good young talent.
Yeah,
It's a nice
yeah,
mix of
yeah.
some good young players and some good
But
vets.
the Bruins are really good. Tampa is really good.
Yeah.
The Leafs are going to be picking up John
the Leafs-
Tavares is really
Very
good.
good team.
The Pens are always really good. So
That's a
I
tough
could sit
division.
here and crap on the Bruins,
Yeah.
but I can't because there're just some really strong teams
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And if the Red Sox, perchance, say they play the Yankees first round of the playoffs, the Yankees beat the Mariners or Oakland, and they match up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Red Sox are up 5.5 games, but again, I noted
That means nothing to
the
me.
Yankees are still having a great season. If they continue the same pace, they will win 104.
Believe me, I consider if it's Yankees,
Right.
if it's Yankees,
And the Red
Red
Sox
Sox,
end
that's a toss-up series to me.
win their 111, even win 105 games, but play the world champ Houston. Houston's got great starting pitching.
And
Okay,
picked up a pretty good
you can't say
relief pitcher, a bit controversially, but they got a pretty good relief pitcher they picked
yeah,
up. That
Robert
was
Osuna.
interesting.
And so I'm not going to sit here and say, well, the Red Sox choke. It's just all the power is in the American League this year, just like the power was in the Eastern Conference
Yeah.
this year.
And again, I'm just Red Sox starting pitching always more of a concern to me than relieving.
Yeah.
And again, the David Price Yankees thing. I'm telling you, if I'm David, I mean, for anybody to say, oh, that's not a big deal Sunday night. Are you kidding me? That's a huge deal.
Let me ask you something.
I mean, if he gets killed again by the Yanks,
Yeah. Without thinking, you got a 4-game series.
I'm not sure I'm pitching him. in the
How many
postseason.
games of these 4-game series will go over 4 hours?
Oh God, yeah.
It's just you get the right. Everybody gets excited for the Red Sox and Yankees, but they're always 4+ hour
What did
games.
the Red Sox beat somebody 1-0? Was it maybe Toronto? Maybe not Toronto. Somebody within the last week or two. That game was like I think a 3.5-hour game.
Are you
A
serious?
1-0 game.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's
People
insane.
can't give up
Insane.
3.5, 4 hours every day. And the thing too, Duke,
Insane.
we watch our hockey, we watch our basketball.
Yeah.
And you know what? Those games start at 7:05. They're done by 9:35.
Yeah.
They're almost exactly 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Well, when you're giving up an extra hour, hour and a half every night, it's just not going to do it.
Yeah, of course, Red Sox, Yankees, I guess it goes without saying. Obviously, they're the Sunday night ESPN
Oh,
game.
sure.
So that game will get past midnight,
Yeah.
8:05 start. They're the Fox game Saturday, thank you, 4:05 start. And then Nelson's got the Thursday and Friday night games.
Yeah.
But obviously a huge series for the Yanks. I mean, if you're the Yanks, if you can win
They have
three,
to win
three
three
games, they got to.
They have to win 3.
You'd think they would probably need to win 3.
Oh, well,
And-
what's
and-
today? Tuesday? So
Today's Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Off
okay.
day for the Red Sox. Yanks already
Okay, yeah.
already lost.
Yeah, boy, I don't have the pitching matchups in front of me. Do you? Yeah,
I've got
I should-
David Price Sunday night against Tanaka, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think. Well, let's see. Porcello obviously is in there. Evaldi, I think, is pitching Saturday. Porcello's obviously Thursday or
Yeah.
Friday, and maybe Brian Johnson the other game.
Now, Duke, have you been down to Centennial Field this year?
I've just been just one. in
That
fact,
Thursday morning
did
game?
Did I bring a schedule in, Hawk?
Well,
Embarrassing.
listen, they've got
I caught the one morning game with my buddy Alex.
they've got a
we
brief.
got to get to
Yeah.
a game.
They have a brief 3-game home series starting tomorrow.
Thank
against
you.
the best team in the New York Penn League, Hudson Valley.
Okay.
Now,
thank
this is
you.
very weird. They play Thursday, Friday,
So
Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
And Saturday night, they will not be the Vermont Lake Masters.
Oh, the Vermont Maple Kings.
The Vermont Maple Kings.
caught that.
So
That's
they will be
interesting.
donning a whole new uniform.
Hey,
celebrating-
Maple's big. Eh?
Right,
That's
Maple's,
kind of cool.
Maple's big in
Well,
Vermont.
thank you for being.
But what's really queer about this,
yeah,
they play Saturday night.
yeah.
Their next game is the following day at Lowell.
At Lowell, huh?
Yeah,
Well,
Sunday.
it's better
they
Lowell than State College,
True.
Pennsylvania, or something.
Right.
But
So
boy, that's
they,
tough.
they travel
on the
down to
road.
Massachusetts
As soon as the
for a
game's over, they're on
5:30
the
game.
bus, I guess.
Exactly, for a 5:30 game against Lowell.
Interesting. Yeah, one game, but like I said, my track record has not been impressive. I hope we make at least one.
And I
game.
love the nickname of Lowell, the Spinners.
the Spinners. Good
Because
name.
Lowell, back like 100 years ago,
Fucking textile industry.
huge textile industry.
Lowell's got a lot
And
of
I
things.
love teams
Yeah.
with nicknames, and I should do one whole night of like nicknames of teams, the good ones and the bad ones.
Yeah, be good. That's good. Of course, Lowell, the home of one of my favorite books, just a book that I'll jump into every once in a while, On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I don't know if you know Jack, but Jack's a Lowell native.
I didn't know that.
One of your beats, your 1950s
He wrote that
beatniks.
59, I
Certainly, probably
think.
50s
You know,
anyway.
I don't remember.
I
I've
think
never
nobody
read that
even
book.
published. I think it had just kind of an on-the-road book.
Yeah,
But yeah, Beatnik,
Yeah.
that's where, he was one of the original beats.
yeah.
Jack Allen Ginsberg, but a great book. In fact, there's a line that I've probably mentioned this maybe a bunch of times. It's probably in my paperback edition on maybe page 40 to 50. And I'm not the most religious guy in the world, which I think I don't have to tell you, but I love the line in the book. This is about the last half of the sentence, ... for life is holy and every moment is precious. I love the line. Do I live like that? No.
No.
All too often I don't, but I love the thought.
Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
Jack was great.
Yeah, as I mentioned, nicknames, like, drives me nuts when the Minneapolis Lakers, which is a great nickname,
Yeah,
Minnesota's
bunch of lakes in
state
Minnesota.
name,
Yeah.
the land of 10,000 lakes, Minneapolis Lakers, they moved to Los Angeles. Can't somebody decide on the Los Angeles Lakers?
Yeah.
I've only been to Los Angeles once, and that, thank God, it was just a flyover.
You and me both. I spent one night with my good friend Butch Patch, one of my oldest Vermont friends, was living there for a while. I spent one night. Thanks, Butch.
I was flying into
putting up with
Honolulu.
me.
I spent 2 hours at LAX,
right?
didn't leave the airport. But
I love, for the record, I love, Big Sur, Northern California. There's a lot to love. Poor California. What a beating with these fires. But
yeah,
California is physically, of course, it's been part of my honeymoon in Death Valley. Love Death Valley. It's a great state.
the then Pete Maravich team, New Orleans Jazz.
Yeah.
Great nickname,
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
moved to Utah, the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
Mormons sitting there
Yeah.
listen to jazz? I don't think so. But, and again, I beat up on the Red Sox. They used to be the Boston Pilgrims. Great nickname. What is a Red Sox? What is a Chicago White Sox?
Of course, we had the
what are the
Boston Braves for a while also.
What are the Cincinnati Red Stockings?
Yeah.
It's just the teams that really
That's a good point. You could have some fun with nicknames.
like good nicknames.
Chicago White Sox.
I don't know what a White Sox is, but I like the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a pretty good
Yeah,
nickname.
it's not
For
for folks who know the Outer Banks like I do, that's that nickname's a good one.
boring nicknames, practical but boring. Washington Nationals.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what else they would have came up with the Americans.
Yeah.
Of course, they used to be the Senators.
I mean, you could say kind of the same about Montreal Canadiens, couldn't you?
Right, exactly. Vancouver was cool. They went Canucks. Was a kind of
interesting.
but the Ottawa team, like Washington being the nation's capital, they're the Senators, which is okay.
Toronto Maple Leafs. That's
a great
not
nickname.
Bad. It's not bad.
And I will hearken back to when
The Quebec Nordique when they were with us.
the St. Albans City School opened up. I was a Holy Angels veteran,
Yeah.
and once I got out of there, it was time for public school.
Yeah.
And the city school was yet to be built, and where the town school is now, at the south end of town, Central Catholic had it for high school.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, maybe 3-4 years, but they cannot afford to keep it open. And I remember the town or the city renting it from the Catholic diocese because the city school wasn't completed.
Yeah.
And they came into action September of 1970. Well, the school had come up with a nickname, and brilliant. The two finalists were the Maple Leafs or the Raiders, St. Albans Raiders. The Raiders got the most vote, and the nickname of the city school is St. Albans Raider.
Yeah,
Great.
that's fair.
But
That's
if it was the
fair.
St. Albans Maple Leafs, that was, I like nicknames that mean
that's
something.
That's a decent choice.
Yeah, yeah. Like the baseball team, the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's good.
So, Dallas
Yeah.
Cowboys, San Antonio Spurs, Cowboys.
New England Patriots. That's pretty
a
pretty
good
solid.
name. Although I will say this, I'm bitter. I'm still bitter when the Patriots changed the uniforms. They had the best logo.
I saw one of their old T-shirts
Well, I
the other
saw
day,
one
but
yesterday.
it was a small, I think.
The Minuteman down in a 3-point stance, and I think you have a toque, don't you?
I might have something.
But what a great logo! And every once in a while, the Patriots will do a throwback.
Yeah, if I find one my size, I'll definitely grab one. That is a great one.
Yeah, and it's so corporate looking, their logo now.
Well, you just got me thinking Patriots. I'll listen to sports talk radio as I spend my life driving around. This is, I think, a CBS show over the weekend. I think it was Andrew Filipino or something like that, the Pony Express. Good nickname, but man, of course I could have changed the channel, but he spent about a half hour just with Julian Edelman, Cheater, and then he strongly suggested, and Tom Brady, how old is this guy, 41? This guy's still playing well? Boy, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Brady's been cheating. This is like about a half hour. Just, I guess, the Pats. I guess they're such an easy target.
Yeah.
And now, of course, with the, the Bob Kraft, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady rift, such as it is, whatever. But it's amazing. I just can't, it's just so, I guess they're just such an easy target. I guess I should be used to that being a dookie,
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers wants to play till at least 40. Eli Manning, I think 37. He says he's not even thinking about retirement. I mean, they're in better shape now. Nutrition, the exercise regimen, personal trainers, the whole 9 yards. And let's be honest, a quarterback doesn't have to do that much physically. Every quarterback there can throw the ball. They all can throw. Yeah. At least 80% of a quarterback. Yeah. What sets Tom Brady apart than anyone else. Yeah. Tom Brady is the Albert Einstein of football. He is a genius, okay?
Seems like a pretty
He gets the
smart
ball
guy.
back. He's got 3.5 seconds to break down the defense.
Yeah.
He can do that. And that's where other quarterbacks that go back and they start hearing footsteps and their main receiver is covered and, what do I do now? Well, Brady can check down on all 3 receivers. And
speaking of their receivers, some concern about their receiving core looking, they just brought in Mr. Decker. You know him, I assume. Aaron Decker.
Yeah.
Pretty solid, pretty solid guy.
Good hands.
But of course, just some concern about injuries. I mean, the line was out a week or two ago. They were supposedly looking to move Malcolm Mitchell, who again was a key guy in the amazing comeback against Atlanta, but just injuries seemed to dog him.
A receiver went down today with a bad hamstring, probably out for the year.
Right?
Jordan Matthews.
Oh, is that he went down today?
Yeah,
Boy, Decker,
and I
that
think
may give Decker a job.
They will probably do a injury settlement with him.
Is that right? He's gone for the year?
Well, I think by Monday you'll see something. Let me throw a name out at you, and you're going to cringe, but he's still out there.
Oh, not T.O.
Des Bryant is still out
Des
there.
Bryant. Hey, they brought in some.
Hey, Randy Moss was a bum when he was brought in.
Nothing I'm going to go crazy about. Like I said, I think again they've won 5 Super Bowls, and I feel better again. Tell me they shouldn't have beaten your guys at least one of those games.
Listen,
maybe 2. But again, given their win, thank you, Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
Good luck to you, Malcolm. And again, the Atlanta comeback. I mean, that was insane. So given that, I think I'm pretty happy with 5.
Yeah. Last year were the Patriots better than the Eagles? Absolutely. Yeah. But it was just one of those weird. That's why we like sports.
Yeah.
And for Brady,
and kudos to the Eagles. Sound like they were a good, fun team. Yeah. Kudos to the Eagles.
For Tom Brady to get the ball back with 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Yeah. My only concern was there was too much time on the clock.
Funny. I'll tell you a guy who sounds like he's in very good form is Stephon Gilmore, because it took him quite a while last year to get with the program, but it sounds like he's very much with the program, and it sounds like a very solid defender. And even the Edelman thing, I'm sure Brady could. And they've got their first games. They're playing some good defensive teams. I mean, Jacksonville, Detroit, and Houston. Those are pretty good defensive teams.
We have Jacksonville the first
is that right? You got Jacksonville too?
Duke, I'm looking at the monitor. That looks so strange to see the month August.
In fact, we talked Celtics. Did we talk Celtics at all? I'm just looking at a schedule. Guess who's got their first exhibition preseason games next month? End of September, the Celtics are in action.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear you, Hawk.
NHL training camp opens up in 5 weeks.
Can't be, it's not far behind
It's
basketball.
not far behind. Now the Giants, and of course everybody looks good in
And the
their
Hall of
underwear.
Fame game, is that like just a couple of weeks away or something?
Well,
Is
no,
that the first game? A
It
week?
might
Couple
open
weeks?
up some point during the week because the Giants play next weekend against
Dude,
Cleveland.
next weekend?
Yeah,
There's not this coming, 2 weekends hence?
this upcoming, right,
2 weekends hence.
August 9th, something
they-
like
do they
that,
really?
whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's happening quick. And of course, I've been moaning, even coming back to St. Albans today,
Yeah.
getting out of the air-conditioned vehicle.
Yeah.
And that mugginess just hit me like a rock, and my wife
So the
was complaining.
coast was pretty nice for a couple days.
Dude, well, you, again,
I got my vineyard weekend not too far
you
away.
grew up in Hingham on the South Shore. Well, Hampton is quite a bit further north.
Yeah, little, yeah.
And the water's considerably cooler than it is down at Hingham. But when I
Especially
first,
courtesy of the tidal mudflats in front of now my sister's house. Gets
Yeah.
a break from just
I meant to
the
ask
sun
you-
soaking up the mud once in a while.
when you used to dive into the ocean,
Yeah.
there was, you didn't have to wear water shoes or anything like that.
No, I mean, if you can picture the house which had been at, we had the seawall. So at high tide, the water's up about 8 or 9 feet on the seawall. So I'm diving into water well over my head.
Yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned that because I'm sure, can't go back exactly 65 years, but I'm sure I learned to swim very quickly, obviously with the house right on the water. But again, horseshoe crabs, I've got a distinct, and I'm sorry for the horseshoe crabs I didn't treat well in my youth. But I think what freaked me out early on was seeing the horseshoe crabs coming up on the beach and saying, boy, the last thing I want to do, obviously, is step on a horseshoe crab. So I think early on, I was into swimming in water over my head and not having to touch the bottom. So anyway, was that
Did your
a long-winded
parents
answer?
give you any hassle about, Richie, do you be good out there or about swimming, or they just,
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure they gave me, I'm sure I learned to swim very early. There was a fence. We had a kind of a rickety, I've seen them in photos when I was like a baby and stuff. But sure, I mean, that was obviously, a huge concern, but I'm sure the three of us learned to swim very early on. But I think once we learned to swim, I think they were, pretty comfortable.
90% of ocean drownings are due to riptides.
Yeah.
It's not because they
And
can't.
again, I almost lost my friend Mike in Florida in a riptide, which I'm sure I've probably mentioned that story
I
before.
don't.
This is
The
one
only
of
thing
my-
I will tell you see that a lot
you're right,
on the Weather
riptides are-
Channel. They
yeah.
always teach you to swim parallel
Yep.
to the shore
Yep.
to get out of it.
Yep, and I was in one. This is one of my best Duke friends, my friend Mike Protzel down in New York and New Jersey. My friend Roy, who I mentioned, my Duke friend Roy is in Vermont. Again, Roy and Mike are longtime Duke season football, season ticket holders. These guys go down to 3, 4, 5 games a year. But I had just seen Duke in postseason. The one time I made it to the Trop for a Duke Kentucky postseason basketball game. We're going back to like 1990s maybe. Anyway, with a Kentucky fan, I got my big, go blue. I had a Kentucky fan right behind me screaming the whole game, go blue. I had 2 hours worth.
Yeah.
Anyway, great game. The Dukies lost the lead and Kentucky won the game. Next day I go over to the other coast, meet up with my friend Mike. I was going to Key West the next day. And again, this is stupid. You would have thought I would have had a better handle on this. It was seemingly a great swimming day. 80s, just a lot of wind, but I think red flags were up. Seems like I saw other people swimming, but we just kind of were, we're hot on the beach. We ended up going and swimming, not surprising, and nothing too crazy, but we were in a riptide. And I remember even talking to Mike on the way out, Mike, any riptide, swim across it. But that got lost in the shuffle. So we just kind of it was pretty subtle, but we're out probably at about, just over our heads swimming and stuff. But it wasn't a real obvious riptide, but we're kind of subtly moved out. And, finally we're kind of looking at the shore saying, hey, I guess we better it seems so stupid.
Yeah.
I spent my life in salt water, but we were out a little too far. So at that point, let's get back in. And Mike especially freaked out pretty quickly because we're trying to swim in and we're not really making any progress.
Yeah.
And what we should have done right then is go across, but he just started tiring really quickly. So I might have been thinking about that, but I was just way more concerned. I'm just kind of giving him verbal encouragement and also grabbing him and trying to make some progress. But this got pretty scary. I mean, I think it was even saying, Rich, I don't think I can make it and stuff. And nobody, we're too far out. It's real windy. Nobody at that point is paying any attention to us.
Yeah.
But we make slow progress. 5 minutes. Sorry, I'll try to.
No, keep going.
We make, slow progress in towards shore. And finally, I mean, I can remember the moment perfectly when my feet finally touched sand. I knew we were okay. And at that point, with some traction, we got in, but he was totally exhausted. And finally, some rescue people had seen us, and they chewed me out big time.
Oh.
And I can understand that,
Yeah.
but I was tempted to say, would you guys have been happier if you were dealing with at least one corpse here? That's how they made me feel, but but Mike was laid out. I'm not sure they might have even given him oxygen. And I hung around for a while, and they got him up, and his parents were there, his wife's parents, everybody was there, kids. But this was a close call. I don't mean to exaggerate things, and I owed him for something. We were going down to an ACC tourney in Greensboro, where it usually was. Great time. It might have been the year of the incredible Maryland NC State double overtime game.
Okay.
Folks like David Thompson,
Yep.
Tommy Burleson.
That's 1973.
That's before I moved up here.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm driving, and I remember Mike saying, Rich! And I probably would have killed us both. I wasn't paying attention, and it was ACC tournament traffic backed up at the I-85 interstate exit. Fortunately, I had the breakdown lane that was open. So I owed Mike one, and I think he got it back from me that day. It was a real close call.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Again, you
anyway.
see that in the Weather Channel quite a bit. That they.
And I'm sure that very day, I'm sure there were some people who did drown that day.
Yeah. I remember I was in Costa Rica once at a real remote spot,
Yeah.
and some taxi took me out there, and I had my wife and a couple kids. And
Yeah.
the guy says in his broken language, "Don't swim over there.
No.
The riptide's going to take you out."
Yeah.
So even like you said,
But it was subtle. You would have thought this would have been an obvious, but it wasn't. Between just talking, I'm sure we were talking sports.
That's
beautiful
what they say
day.
in the Weather Channel. You don't even know it's happening. It is subtle that it just takes.
Because I had been, what I've dealt with more is when I just go into a beach, often in Florida, a rip current will be just going, I'm sure you've dealt with that, just going down the beach.
Yeah.
You get up, you can hardly stand up. But this is just kind of subtle, but
Yeah.
all right. Thank you, whatever. This was a close call.
Yeah.
I'm a good enough swimmer. I was okay because I'm a pretty strong swimmer, but Mike just kind of freaked and got tired, but anyway.
Not that any death is good, but they say drowning's a pretty bad way to go because you've got
I would think so. 2
long
minutes.
time to think about it.
Yeah.
So, New York Giant news.
Yeah, we didn't get into your. Did you guys was there an injury? Did you come up with a significant injury or not?
The kid we drafted in the 3rd round supplemental draft injured his shoulder, out for the year. But
No biggie.
Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
has looked great at camp. So
Yeah.
that ankle injury looks like it's behind him. Of course, he's playing for a new
And
contract.
it sounds like he's behaving himself pretty much.
Up to this point.
That's good.
Olivier Vernon, the defensive end that played injured last year and didn't play great.
What about Mr. Hernandez? I'm hearing about Mr. Hernandez.
Will Hernandez, their 2nd round pick, left guard, is doing well. But
And of course, you got my guy Nate Solder.
but Pat Shermer, they're saying, is running an outstanding camp.
Huh.
Very respectful of the players,
Yeah.
vice versa, and things are looking good. And as I've told you before, the pundits have the Giants winning 6.5 games this year.
That's all they're giving him?
And the ESPN NFL
Really?
Power Rankings came out about a week or so ago.
Yeah.
They had the Giants ranked at 27th.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You're a little kinder?
I'm
or?
optimistic. Yeah,
I mean, what's realistic? Is 500 at least?
But we start with Jacksonville, playoff team. Then we play Dallas,
Wow.
in a healthy Dallas football team.
Wow, that's a
so
tough
it's going to
start.
be tough. So, and I never even got into Tiger versus Phil, $10 million.
I haven't heard about that for a while.
I've got to wrap it up. That'll probably occur after the Ryder Cup at the end.
PGA probably a couple weeks. Is that probably 2 weeks from tomorrow?
Next
Or a
week
from-
after this.
Sorry, a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, I've got to go. He's giving me a wrap sign. So that's it. That concludes this edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. For our good friend Zach, the studio director, my good pal, the Duke, I am the Nighthawk. And until next week, everyone, remember, you do not have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao for now.
Yeah. Good job.